Hi, everybody. It's Rachel and Caroline from Kids and Art, and we're here to do a Zoom art lesson called Cubist Pet Portraits. And I'm going to start by talking to you a little bit about Cubism. And it was a period of time in which art was made predominantly using shapes. And I had this wonderful piece by Hans Hofmann. I'm going to show you, hold it right up to the screen. And I know you notice those bright colors, but what really stands out to me are the squares and rectangles. And so those are going to act as the inspiration for today's Cubist pet portraits. We will have the animal front and center, and the background will be done in squares of color. And what that does is make your pet pop out. So you're going to start with that 8x8 piece of squares. There will end up being 64 of them. So to do that, again, you probably did it ahead of time, but just for those who didn't, you just use a ruler and you're going to do every inch, do hatch marks down and across. And that looks like a grid. So here's our second piece. And this is kind of the fun part. You get to decide what pet you want to feature. Now, I have a house full of animals. So I did one version, and that is my cat named Kiki. And then I did this one up here, which is my dog. Her name is Rosie. This one over here is a bird, because that's what one of my sons would like us to get. We don't actually have it, but my point is that even if you don't have a pet at home, if there's one that you'd really like to have, you can feel free to make that pet the subject of today's pet portrait lesson. Now, you're going to take your pencil and you're just going to draw very simply the outline of your pet. Now, you'll notice Caroline has angled her computer screen so you can see that she is working on her drawing at the same time. Caroline, what animal are you featuring?
I am doing a goldfish.
Excellent. And I today decided to do a squirrel. Now, again, it's not a squirrel living in my house, but I thought it'd be fun to do one today. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to work on the drawing of your pet. Now, when you do portraits, sometimes it's the shoulder area up, and sometimes it's the whole body. Either is fine. If you notice, I did do shoulder area up with these. But on this one, I did draw the whole squirrel. It's totally up to you with what you want to do. And again, your animal can take up a large amount of the square or a smaller amount. Nice thing about art is you can change it to suit what looks best in your eye. So, Caroline, how is your fish coming along?
Oh, I just am really enjoying drawing it, and I'm almost finished. I'm just putting a few more details on, and I'm
so I'm
excited to paint.
I had forgotten to do an eye earlier, so because mine is the side profile of the squirrel, so it's looking this way, we only see one eye. But I'll go ahead and draw that eye in. And I'm going to give a little lashes, and then I'm going to make a nose. And my squirrel's going to be a happy squirrel, so she'll smile. The next part, once you're done with your drawing, is when we're going to paint the animal itself. And for the animal piece, I really want you guys to use realistic colors. So colors that you would really actually see if the animal was out in the wild. So probably not so much a hot pink squirrel, but maybe browns or tans. Sometimes squirrels are black. We have black squirrels here in California. So that's your next job, and you're going to use your watercolors to do that. So I have this wonderful watercolor palette right here. And remember, when you do watercolors, you need to get some water on your brush, so dip it, and then you can go ahead and start painting in your animal. And I always find it's such a relaxing time when you actually get to paint. Those nice, smooth brush strokes. And remember, animals' fur is actually made up of lots of different colors. It's really generally not just one solid color, so you can use different variations. So for example, I've got darker brown, but I'm also going to add in some lighter tans, and maybe even some golds as I go along. How about you, Caroline? What color is Goldie?
I'm using a nice bright orange, but I'm using some areas I'm using a lot of water, and some areas I'm using more paint to give a different intensity to the color.
Very nice. So nice.
It is very relaxing.
Especially these days when everybody's at home. It's nice to be able to sit and concentrate and do something creative. So I'm trying to get the fur showing a little bit with how I do my brush strokes. Now, once you have the squirrel or dog or cat or fish, whatever animal you chose, once that is painted, and we're going to pretend my squirrel's painted all the way, this is when you're going to start to think about the Cubist background. And here's where we're going to bring in a little bit of science. I'm hoping that most of you brought those watercolors, food coloring, because it becomes watercolors, that's why I said that, and little cups or empty egg cartons. And here's why we need that. When I did this background, I chose different shades of blue or different shades of pink or different shades of green. And the way I did that was I used food coloring, and I chose one color.
Rachel, I have a question.
Yes.
If I don't have any food coloring, would it be okay to use paint?
Yes, absolutely okay to use paint. So while I'm talking to you guys about how to do it with the food coloring, Caroline is going to demonstrate how to do it if you don't have food coloring, but just watercolor paints. Thank you, Caroline. Excellent. So I have my little tube of food coloring and my little cups. In the first cup, I'm going to put 2 drops, 1, 2, of my color. Then I'm going to go over to the second cup and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And even as I'm holding there looking, you can tell the first cup is much lighter in color than the second cup. So that was 2, then 5. Now we're going to do 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that is going to be the darkest color of all. Those are the 3 shades of yellow I'm going to use to do my background. So I've got my clean brush, and I'm just going to start painting random squares. And some of the squares are going to be a lot darker or a lot lighter than others. And this can be random patterns. You don't have to go dark, medium, light, dark, medium, light. Just paint the color in and whatever looks nice to your eye. And Caroline, how's it going there with your watercolor version?
So I have my 3 small amounts of water, and I put the least paint in here, and then the medium in there, and then I put lots and lots of paint in this one. So you can do that if you don't have the food coloring. And I've already started the painting and enjoying it very much.
Excellent. So here we go, different shades that when you put them around your animal are going to make that animal pop out. Now, someone had asked me a question in another workshop when we did this, and they said some of the squares have part of the animal in them and part of it blank. So you just go ahead and add that color to the blank piece. So this square was mostly tailed, but a little blank. And then over here, I just have a tiny little bit of blank. I'm still going to add that color in because that's going to help get that pop at the end.
Do you do all the darker shade first, or can you do whichever way,
Excellent.
whichever shading?
You can do whatever way works best for you. I've done some where I've alternated every single square. I've gone back and forth. And then some of these portraits that I've done, I do all the dark colors first, then the medium, then the light. So it's really whatever works best for you, which is also one of the nice things about art is that you get to be so individual about it. There we go. Now we get to spend just some nice time painting our grid background. There we go. So I am going to show you up close one of the finished pieces, which is this.
I'll show mine too.
With my dog Rosie.
Rosie.
So that's how Rosie looks.
And there's Goldie.
Portrait. Caroline has the fabulous Goldie all set too. So that's it. Cubist pet portraits. Hope to see you next time. Bye, guys.